Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Ty. Ty is from Los Angeles in California in the USA. So let's see what Ty has to say. Enjoy the interview.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello Ty, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Thank you. We got our technical difficulties situated. I got you. You wanted landscape. I'm ready to go.
Amazing, amazing. So tell me, how was your day today? How's your day going so far?
Not bad. I woke up. I had some coffee. I'm in LA. I work in entertainment, and it's been a little slow. I work in reality and game shows, so I've just been doing some job stuff.
Wow.
So
So
that was my thing.
So LA is the place where you're born and raised?
No, I'm actually from Omaha, Nebraska, and yes, there are black people there. That's everyone's second question.
Is that a like normal question people ask?
Yeah, because no one really knows anyone from Nebraska.
I see.
And when they hear it and then they see a black person, they're like, wait, people are in Nebraska? Wait, there are black people in Nebraska? So, yeah.
And why LA? Why the change from Nebraska to LA?
Well, I was a little kid, and the Midwest has horrible winters. It's so cold, and the snow and the ice, and the summers are humid. And I think what it was is television. I would see TV in like December and the sun would be out. And I would ask my mom, I'm like, why is the sun out? She's like, oh, it doesn't snow there. I'm like, I'm moving there. And I was working in entertainment and all that stuff. So I knew early I wanted to move to Los Angeles.
Wow. And as you already touched up about your profession as a reality TV producer, so walk
Yeah.
me through a little bit more about your career.
So my career started in television. I wanted to do acting at first, and I really didn't really pursue that as much as I should have. So I got in entertainment anyway. My first job was at CBS, one of the major networks, and this is back when they had movies of the week, if you can believe that. It was on Sundays and Wednesdays, and so I worked in that department. And then I did some tipping. I worked for Tyra Banks for 2 years. I was with her when she sold America's Next Top Model, and I was with her the first season on that. So that was fun. And
Wow.
then uh, a friend of mine had known I had worked with Tyra on that, and he was on The Apprentice at that time. It was just The Apprentice, and said, "Hey, we have this job opening. You'll have to put yourself up in New York." But I was like, "Oh my God, this is great! It's a hit show. It's my foot in the door. I'll do it." And so that's how my reality career started taking effect. I
Wow.
started doing The Apprentice, and then I've done 60, 70 shows since then.
Amazing. Oh, wow. Interesting. And do you think LA, is the right place for to be regarding your career?
Well, LA is the capital, Hollywood, the entertainment capital of the world, or so they say. uh, yes, now I think with tax cuts and all that, movies and TV, they film different places. Canada, and a lot of filming happens in Canada. Now they go to Atlanta because of better tax breaks and all that stuff. So it's kind
Wow.
of all over. But LA is the main. I just love LA. Again, I wanted to be here since I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
So boy, I'm not going anywhere. They're gonna have to blast me out of here.
And all your family are back in Nebraska.
No, actually, they all left. My brother and his family were the last to leave. I'm here. My sister's in New York City. She
Wow.
lived in Amsterdam for 10 years. She speaks fluent Dutch, but now she's been in New York for about 10 years. My mom is in Florida, and now my brother and his family are in Florida. So the only one
Wow.
back in Nebraska is my best friend from high school. And for years, she's always like, oh my God, when are you moving back to Nebraska? And I was like, I'm not coming back. Finally, I was like, she's like, when do you come back to Nebraska? I said, in a box. And
My God.
even then, I'm going to be kicking and screaming.
Even though your family left Nebraska, so you never got back since you left
Oh
Nebraska.
yeah, everyone. I was the first to leave, and then my sister left after college.
Uh-huh.
And mom was my brother and his family were the last to leave about 3 years ago.
Wow,
So I would go home often for the holidays, for Christmas usually.
amazing.
Yeah.
Ty, so during the interview, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your life overall and also about your point of views, okay?
Okay.
But before we start our journey within the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself or something that not many people know about you.
Something that not a lot of people know. Wow, that's a good one. Um, Actually, I am very outgoing, but a lot of people don't know I'm really private.
Mm.
Even though I'm very outgoing and I can socialize a lot, I go to the gym and talk to people. When I go home, I'm very private. I really don't have people over to my home. I'm just
Okay.
very quiet and just like to do my own thing.
Wow.
That's I think that surprises a lot of people. I think they think that I'm going to be all over the place and blah blah blah. But when I go home, I just like to I'm very private and just kind of like quiet and do my own thing.
Wow. Should I consider myself special to be able to, for you to let me into a little bit of your home?
Right, I know. I have several friends. They're like, I've never seen your place. I'm like, it's nothing rude. It's not rude. I'm like, I just don't invite people over. It's not like I have a huge enough place for entertaining. If I had like a huge place, but I mean, I've had people over. Don't think that I've had no one, but I don't entertain.
Now, I understand your point. Sometimes, no, the business that you work, you're always surround a lot of people, and sometimes you just need your space. You need to find yourself, in a place where you can be your true self. It just, recharge your batteries. I think is your place
You
to
hit
be.
the nail on the head, William, because I always say that in my work, I'm on all the time. And then I'm dealing with a lot of people, like hundreds
Mhm.
of. And then when I go to the gym, I'm whatever. Then when I socialize, so when I come home, it's just like I just like
Totally.
shut down and, like you said, recharge, do all
Yeah.
that. So my home for me is very.
I think it's very healthy as well for you to be able to, to just disconnect about the world outside and just to be in your own world. Yeah.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your
Like
point of view?
random questions, is that what the box means? They're just like random questions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm ready.
Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So this is my best friend. Full of random fun questions. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a song now, just first to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Ty, before we start the game, during the join, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, some reason you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, do you consider yourself to be a spiritual person and how?
I do consider myself to be a spiritual person. I don't go to church weekly. I stopped that years ago, probably when I was in high school. But I consider myself spiritual. I do pray to myself. I do think there is a higher being. Um, I do. I find I have to like, especially like I was telling you, not working and you know, you have to find something that's going to keep you grounded at your level. And my mother's very spiritual, so that kind of rubs off on me. So yeah, I do. I pray a lot.
And how do you have like some let's say a routine that you find yourself connecting with a higher power? There is something that you do like weekly or daily. There's something that you do or not?
You know what I do daily? I don't know if you would call it spiritual, but I do. What I do daily is I do affirmation.
Okay.
In the morning when I'm having my coffee, I do my daily aspirations. Because I was reading a book actually that a friend wrote, and I've done this kind of all my life. But he in the book he was like, it's great if you like pick a time of the day, you do it every day. It's a routine. You do the same spot, and so I'm like, you know what? The perfect time is in the morning when I'm having my coffee and I'm kind of like thinking about the day and the world. That's when I do my affirmations.
Do you consider yourself to be more of a day or a night person?
Much more of a night person.
Hmm?
Even when I'm working, I have to get up like 2 hours early to have coffee. and then I shower. I don't like to jump up and rush. I can't do that. But I'm not a morning person like where people get up and they go to the gym at 6 a.m. No. And I can get up that early and do that if I have to work, but
Uh-huh.
on my me time, I'm much more of an evening person. I like to work out in the evening. I'm
Wow.
up till usually midnight. I'm just much more of an evening person. Well, because of my work, I
Yeah.
do have to a lot of day. I have to get up early. I have to be there usually on set super early. But if I have my choice, no. But I have my coffee. But yeah, I'm way more of a night person, night owl.
I'm way more early. 6 a.m. I'm already wide awake.
It's great, and it's a great way to start your day. I know years ago when I was training for an AIDS ride, a bike ride from San Francisco to LA, I would get up early to go train or do a spin class. And it's a great way to start your day because you're getting the blood going and all that. But I need to have my coffee, relax, check the news, see what's on, ease into the day. I have to ease into it.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Hey, Ty from Los Angeles. Next question is, tell us about your best vacation and why you consider that.
My best vacation, when again, I moved to LA when I was young, right out of school. Uh, and I always wanted to go to Europe, but I just didn't have the money. And my goal was by 30. And so my first job I told you was at CBS, and I was turning 30 that year. So I wanted to go to Europe, and I wanted to go by myself. So I got my passport, did all that. I had to get the birth certificate. This is back pre 9/11 when it was a lot easier to travel,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't, I had to get my birth certificate. But now it's just so much more red tape. But back then it was so easy. All you did is get your passport and go. But I did have to get shots. I don't know if they still have to do that. But I went to Europe. A best friend of mine at the time, he had lived here. He's Spanish. He had gone back home. So I flew to Spain to hang out with him. And then we had kind of mapped out a little itinerary for me to do by myself. And so then I think after Spain, I was in Madrid. Then I went to London. Then I went to Cologne. And then I went to uh, Amsterdam.
Wow.
And it was the best because it was just so wonderful. And what I love about Europe is it's so easy to travel. You
Yeah.
can literally walk to the train station, look and see where you want to go, hop on the train and go. It's so easy. Even if you don't know the language, it's so easy. They make it so easy, public
Yeah.
transportation. I did and it was great. I got to sit on the trains. I felt like I was in, I don't know, some 1940s movie. But I loved being by myself because one, I
Uh-huh.
could do what I wanted, and two, I knew I would meet people, and people were very friendly.
Yeah.
And I was this young gay kid, or when I was like, oh, I'm going to go to all the bars and do all that stuff, and I can be a private hoe with none of my friends judging me.
I know the feeling. Tell me, when you think about this trip, what was the highlight? Tell me something that you're never gonna forget through that trip that happened to you.
It was all such highlights. It was just, I guess, the highlight for me was was the different cultures, and at that
Uh-huh.
time, not just the euro. Each country had their own.
Money.
I Yeah, I was the last of the. It was like it didn't last long after that. So I got money from each country, and I kept some, so I still have it from
Wow.
the country before. I think the euro came maybe 5 or 6, 7, 8 years later. But
Uh-huh.
I think the highlight for me, William, was just being, the highlight for me was, and I say this all the time, was learning the culture. I felt like we were so uptight in the
Mm-hmm.
US about a lot of things. And I would ask the Europeans about certain things. I think I had asked them about, when Bill Clinton, the president, had the affair with the girl Monica Lewinsky in the dress, and they're like, "Oh, we just laugh at you, silly Americans." But up here, we're all tight and wound up, and also I feel like we're sexually repressed as well, and
Mm-hmm.
I I did not see that at all. It was very a part of the, especially in the gay culture. It was a part of the culture. I don't know, people. They're called bathhouses. I don't know if you've heard of them. but it's a part of the culture. You
Yeah,
know, guys, in the afternoon, they hang out, they do whatever, they have cocktails, they meet friends, and then they go home and then they go to dinner or out with their friends. So
yeah,
it was the culture because I just felt like they're so chill and don't
yeah.
take sweat the small stuff. So that was the big thing for me was just seeing the being this kid from Nebraska, you know, a small town to go to Europe. That to me was probably it was huge. That was a big thing, big deal.
Wow. Next question. Right. So before the next question, Ty, what is the biggest joy of being a reality TV producer? What do you like the most about your job? And the opposite, what do you find most challenging about the career?
What that is a good question. What do I find is the biggest reward and then the most challenging? I think the biggest reward for me is because I work in the creative realm of reality. I don't know. I'll just explain it very quickly. So I do a lot of competition shows where people are vying to win money, and there's a process of elimination. And there's usually an ultimate winner. Um, so I and people I work with, we are the creative. We come up with the challenges that they do. You know, if they have to jump out of a plane or, you know, dance in the street, whatever it is, we come up with those fun challenges that kind of cater to whatever the show is. And, you know, we create them. Or we create them, we write the rules, we plan it out, we test it, we hire people if we need it. So for me, seeing something that I've created with a team,
Right.
I I and or a team and seeing it come to fruition and being done on the camera is very fulfilling and exciting because you're like, oh my God, this was in my head or our heads, and
It's
now it's
happening.
everyone's gonna see it on TV.
It's amazing. And the
So
most challenge, yeah,
that's the best. The most challenging, everyone thinks there's a lot of glamour in TV. There's about that much. There's a lot of glamour if you're a star.
hmm
Uh, but don't get me wrong, I love it. I love working in television. I think I don't want to say negative. Would you say the word? Would you say the most rewarding and
challenging.
the challenging? There we go. That sounds better. The most challenging thing is probably the time, the
Mm.
hours you work in a day. There have been days I worked 18 hours.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that can be taxing sometimes, and you get grouchy and you get tired. And, you know, we're not meant to not sleep because you just can't think, you can't drive, you can't do anything. All you can do is be a grouchy bitch. So that would be the most challenging sometimes is the time.
I see. Okay. Next question for you is what makes you the saddest?
Ooh, what makes me the saddest? I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, you know, when someone dies. But I think the sad things for me, because I've had this happen to me recently, is losing a friend. And I don't mean a friend dying. I
Mhm.
mean that you've either grown apart
Yeah.
or not seeing eye to eye,
hmm
or there's competition, or, you know, you're not, each friend is not bringing to the table what they should be,
Yeah.
you're just not fulfilling. So that can be very sad, losing a really good friend that way, especially if it's like 10, 20 years, you feel like, oh my God. I know a lot of times you feel like you need to stay just because you've got so much time invested. But if you're not getting what you're giving that
Yeah.
friend, sometimes you need to take a step and walk away. So that to me is very sad.
It's so interesting you saying that, Ty, because I literally was thinking about that today. Actually, I was thinking, and it's so true. And I see, even though it's sad, even though it's it can hurt you, but at the same time as well, I think it's a bit healthy because it means people that are growing a different direction. You know what I mean? I think they're not one is wrong, the other one is right. It's just about this journey that they've been together. For some reason or another, it's just going apart, and I think it's just meant to be this way. I was literally thinking about that today. I was like, oh my God, it's sad in a way, but somehow, it's just happening for both sides. You know what I mean? And
It's very sad, isn't it? Who's to say it might not be forever, but
yeah,
I think because I've had this time to really, because I haven't been working as much, to kind of like focus on myself. And like you said earlier, be kind of spiritual and kind of do some self diving.
Yeah,
I've realized things that I had put off and let go.
yeah,
Now I'm kind of like coming
that's
face to face with it. And you have to take care of yourself. If we've learned
sure.
anything in these years, especially because of COVID and everything, you only go around once. And
Yeah,
so you got to make the most of it. And yeah, that is I never thought of it until you asked that question, but that it's been very sad because it's been very new that I had to take a step back from a friendship.
absolutely. Ready for another one?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Next question. Okay, Ty, next question for you is, if you could ask for a miracle, what that would be?
Ooh, good question. Do I be selfish and ask for it for me, or do I ask for the world? Ooh, miracle. You know what I would do, and I'm sure that a lot of people have probably said this. Cure cancer. Cancer is horrible. It's
Mm-hmm.
so many people, so many friends. It's just eating away. And unfortunately, it's always the good people who get cancer. It's never the bad people. It's like that old adage is true: evil never dies. It's like, and I'm not wishing illness on anyone. I don't want
Of
to.
course, of course.
I want to make it sound like that, but it's just devastating. And
Yeah.
I've had several friends and people I admire, just handfuls in like the last year or two, handfuls. So I mean, that would be my miracle: cure
Wow.
cancer.
Wow. When you think about yourself, Ty, when you analyze yourself, what's the best part of being Ty? What do you like the most about being you?
What I like the most about being me, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, where you have to kind of like learn about yourself
Yeah.
and work on yourself. I think one of the things I like about most about myself is that I'm a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
My mother is a very nice person, and it took us a long time to kind of come together for different issues in my family. But I like to think I'm a nice person, especially with work,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't take myself that seriously. I can laugh at myself. I can make jokes about myself. Uh, I talked to a millionaire once when I was working on the show, and I went up to him and I was like, Robert, you're actually he was on, I'll say his name, Robert Hershevek. He was on that show where they sell things. They present to people. I can't think of the name of the show. It'll come to me. But we were doing another show, and I was talking to him, and I was just like, Robert, you're such a cool guy and so laid back, and you're just awesome. He's like, I was like, what's your secret? He's like, Ty, I don't take myself that serious. And this guy was a millionaire, but he was just so cool. So I like to think it's not something that I set out to do, but I like to think that I'm a nice person.
Wow. And which person in your family you are more close to?
It would probably be my mother. I have my mother's divorced, but I have a mother, a brother, and a sister. My brother and sister are both younger. My brother is the youngest. My sister is the middle. Probably my mother,
Yeah.
because yeah, and again, I was telling you, it took us a long time to come to that because my mother had issues with the whole gay thing for years, and we got through all that. And I'm older now, but yeah, I talk to my mom and text with her the most, even though I'm close with both. My brother has his own family, so he's busy.
Yeah.
Has her life, so it would probably be my mother.
Let's see, your mom is watching this interview right now, and you have a moment, an opportunity to say something to her right now. What would you say?
I would say, Mom, I love you, and yes, you're going to get your birthday present. She turns 75 in September. We're all going to come home.
A baby! Oh, sweet, very sweet.
That's what she wants.
Next question. Before the next question, Ty, as you mentioned, about 9/11 in the beginning of the interview. Where were you when 9/11 happened?
Wow, that is a great question. 9/11, you know how I have the worst memory in the world, but you remember those places. So I had two roommates. It was two guys, and we were in a duplex. And I was temping. I told you I was temping after CBI. I was temping at 20th Century Fox in Century City, and I hear this bang on my door in the morning. And it's my roommate. He's like, "It's John." I'm like, "Hey, get in the shower first. I don't need to get up yet." He's like, "No, you need to get up now." And so I'm thinking, when someone does that, you think the house is on fire. You're like, "Oh my God," because you're out of a sleep or whatever. And I run into the living room, and he's sitting there, and I'm looking, and I don't even know what I'm looking at. And all of a sudden, I see a plane fly into the first uh, building, and I'm like, I just woke up. I'm like, you're thinking it's like a movie. What am I watching? I'm like, what's going on? He's like, there was an attack. They just hit the Pentagon, and now this plane I literally just walked in right as it hit the building, and it flew into the building, and we were just stunned, just shocked. And that's what I just remember that whole day. And work, of course, they canceled work. I worked in a tower building. I'm like, I'm not going in there today. No one knew what was going to happen next. No one knew what was being targeted.
Yeah, yeah.
They figured it was, but yeah, so we didn't go to work. I remember I went to a friend's place, and all day it was just kind of like I felt like you were walking through mud or water. It was just moving that slowly. And we were in shock. We were just in shock. I remember we went to lunch and we just sat. I think the big thing that I remember is that I think we needed to be around people we loved, because it was so shocking. We just didn't, and none of us really talked. I just think we need to just be around people to just be together, because we were just so, I hadn't thought of this in a long time. That was a very good question. I think we were just stunned that happened. And then when the second one happened, I mean, it was just, I think we were just literally in shock.
You were already in LA at the time, living in LA.
I was in LA, yes. I remember the apartment where we were in. I remember, when you wake up when you're woken up like that, first of all, you're just waking, your brain isn't even like functioning yet, and you're just seeing something, and I'm thinking it's like I'm watching Die Hard or something, some old movie, or I'm like, what is this? It just was unreal, to be honest. Yeah,
it's a day that I think the whole world got together somehow, because I remember as well, I was back in Brazil at the time, and I'm the same. Actually, I was the same situation as you. I was literally in my bedroom sleeping, and my roommate just came and said, "Willie, come here to see some things happening. It doesn't look real. It's a bit strange." And I was the same as well. The same. I couldn't figure out, what was happening. And even though, it was happening in New York City, but I think the whole world got together. I think somehow people did just, stop for a moment to understand, to be, helpful, or to be understanding. Was a lot of feelings, emotions happening at the same time, for sure.
I will expound on that a little, William, and kind of what you said is how everyone came together, and even in other countries. But that was unfortunately the last time we all came together.
Yeah.
Things have happened since, January 6th and things like that. And people are saying it wasn't real, and it was peaceful, and it was this, and it was that. And I don't want to get political, but it's like, those are times we should come together. People died, people gave up their lives.
Yeah.
People were trying to protect. And it was our capital, for Christ's sake. It was our capital. And we didn't come together. We actually went apart. And that was a time that I felt, it reminded me of 9/11, where we all came together and were and Rudy Giuliani, who was the mayor at that time, was just the world's mayor. And then flipped to him turning against us. It was hard because I was old enough to be there and remember that, and then go through this. It was very sad to me.
I see. All right. Next question is, what hurt your feelings?
Oh, what hurts my feelings?
I like the way you said. What hurt my feelings?
These are all personal, deep questions. I thought it was going to be like, what do you eat for breakfast? No, let me see.
What did you eat for breakfast, by the way? What did you eat for breakfast today?
I made hot cakes. They're exciting, I know, right? Coffee. Uh, what makes me sad? Is that the question?
What hurt your
Oh,
feelings?
what hurts my feelings? What hurts my feelings? I guess, wow. I guess it's kind of like the thing that I was saying earlier about a friend. You know, someone you love is not being nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
That I that hurts your feelings because with anyone else, with uh, coworkers and acquaintances and all that, that doesn't bother you. You move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So I think someone you love or someone you close to not being nice to you, that hurts my feelings. That's
Wow.
why I said it kind of all the ties together. Where I said I like to be a person because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not perfect. I have my, but
All right.
I don't want to set out to hurt someone's feelings or be hurtful.
Mhm. See. 3 questions left. Let's do it. Okay, Ty, next question is, what's the most beautiful thing someone has ever done for you?
The most beautiful thing someone done for me. Gosh, you got me thinking.
I love it.
The most beautiful thing someone ever did for me, and it's not something tangible. My grandfather, when I was young, uh, who also died of cancer. This is why I talk about cancer. He died when I was 30, but when I was younger, probably about 12, 13, 14, or 15, I remember him. He was a manager and an assistant manager at Holiday Inn, which was a hotel. It was a hotel chain at that time.
Yeah.
And in the 70s, which was a big deal for a black man to be in a management job in the 70s, that was a big deal. So I remember going to the hotel and just seeing he was very charismatic and he was just a really nice person. And how the staff responded to him, Mr. Harvey, Mr. Harvey, Mr. Harvey, Mr. Harvey. They
Wow.
adored him. And I remember we would talk every so often when I go out and visit him. He was sitting having his coffee, cream and sugar, and he said to me, and I think I might have asked him or something about the people and how they respond to him. And it was very, he loved him. And I said, why? And he goes, well, you know what I learned? He goes, I'm going to tell you this. He goes, I don't care if it's a garbage man to the president. You treat everyone the same and with respect. And that was the biggest lesson I think
Wow.
I've ever gotten. And I've told this to people. I tell it all the time to younger people I work with. It was it was the best thing because he's right. You don't treat people different because of
Whatever.
money. How you treat everyone the same. And that was the best lesson I think I ever got because I've taken that with me through my entire life.
Wow, I love that, Ty. I love that. There's such a beautiful connection between grandparents and ourselves. There's, you literally made me go back now to my 7 years old. When I was 7 years old, I was 6, 7, and my grandmother, I never forget. Exactly the same way you learned that, I've learned something that I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. I
Yeah.
remember sitting with her by my side. I remember in a farm, and she come to me. She called my son. Yeah, I said, "My son, come here." And I was sitting by her side, and she said to me, "Every day, when you wake up and when you go to bed, if you want that, people never hurt you, for you to be protected." I never forget that. She said, "When you wake up, have a moment with yourself. As you said about affirmation, have a moment with yourself. Ask God to be God or a higher power for you to be protected, to be,
Right.
in a safe place." And she said, "Trust me, nothing gonna hit you. You're gonna be sad sometimes. You're gonna have challenge moments, but when you do that in the morning and when you go to bed as well, you are literally protect yourself." Guess what? Since that day until now, and I'm gonna do, there's every single day before I stand up, I have this little moment with myself because of her. So it's those lessons that you never gonna, get away. It's always gonna be with you.
And you get a lot. I mean, he told me a lot of things, and
Sure.
my
Yeah.
grandmother told me a lot of things, and my other grandmother told me a lot of things.
Yeah,
and my mother back in the day, you got a lot of their wisdom,
totally.
and I got a lot from him. But I
Yeah,
really, that was the big one for me, because I still see adults today, and even now we see it on the news wherever, treating people badly, and I'm just like, is that how you want your children or
to
your
see.
grandchildren to
Yeah,
treat people? That's
yeah,
no. And if I had treated people badly or done anything in front of him, he would have called me on it
oh,
immediately and made me apologize or whatever. But I didn't. I got that message, and I don't think at 14, I don't think it was like, oh my God, you've changed my life. I was only 14, but whatever that message was, it stuck with me, and
yeah,
I always remembered it from then on.
totally.
Yeah.
Two questions left. Let's do it. Before the next question, as you mentioned that people they have this misconception about working TV that can be glamorous as well. But the opposite side, what's something that people get right when they think about the TV business or people who works in that business? What's something that's through your career, something that people get right regarding that, regarding the business you work?
Something that they get right in regards
Yeah.
to the. Uh, I would probably say the thing that people get right when they, let me think, when I thought about entertainment, I guess the money. And I guess when I say the money, it's from the top down. I think it can be, I think people think, movies make, a lot of money, and actors and different things make a lot of money. And, people who create shows, there's different levels and tiers in entertainment. Obviously, if you're working on a Tom Cruise movie, you're going to be making a lot of money. And if you're working on a hit TV show or reality show, you're not going to make the same money as you would make as a working in films,
Mm-hmm.
but people are still making decent money.
I see.
I never made millions of dollars, but you're definitely paid a little bit more. So the
Mhm.
money, again, and it's a tiered system. It starts low and then can go very high, and you're hoping you're in the middle to higher range. So the money is probably the big thing that people think about. They think about wealthy and rich, and you can do very well if you're on something good and you're good at your job.
I see. All right. Next question for you is: do you know anyone who is living their life to the fullest?
I think I know several people who are living, again, I think because of, uh, these last 7, 8 years and then COVID, people, I mean, I have friends weekly telling me, I'm just trying to live my best life. I'm just trying, because there's no guarantees. The only guarantee is we know we're going to die. We just don't know when.
Yeah.
So everyone is just, I think my sister had said, she had sent me a text. We were talking about, we're on a family text or friend text, and Don Lemon, who was on CNN, and he was interviewing Elon Musk, and then they pulled his contract and blah, 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 blah. And when he left CNN, he got all this money. And my sister replied back in the text. She's like, Don is living his best life. And I was like, amen to that. He really is living his best life. So I think a lot of people are really living their best life. And I think because of social media now, and a lot of people can show things that aren't real, but I think a lot of people, because you don't need to show off. I don't mean showing off
Mm-hmm.
life. I think just being happy
Yep.
with, that's the thing, being happy, being loved, having a decent family. One of my favorite stars died last year, late last year, and she died of cancer. But I grew up with her, was Suzanne Summers from Three's Company. You people out there that don't know her, Google her. Uh, I just grew up loving her, and she was just such a great person. And she had the same husband for 46 years, but I think they knew each
Wow.
other 51 years. And she was just happy. And her books were always inspirational and things like that. But she had lived with cancer the last 20 years of her life, and people didn't know it.
Wow.
But she was still out there being positive and fighting. And, but she was loved and surrounded by love, and she was happy. So that was, and I think she's, I remember seeing her, someone asked her that question that you just asked me. And they're like, how do you, or form of that question, how do you what do you say about life? Or, what's your secret? And she's like, live every day to the fullest. She's like, 'cause
Wow.
you don't know when, money's not going to save you. None of that's going to save you, when at the end of the day, you can't buy your health. So just live every day to the fullest.
Amazing. Ready for the last question?
Dum, dum, dum. Yep.
Let's do it. Right, but before the last question, tell me a little bit about your opportunity and your journey work with Tyra Banks.
Oh, that's another good question. So how that started was after I left CBS, I started temping. I think people still, this is, yeah, temping. So
Just
I
a
was
question
able to,
before you. Just a question, Ty. When you say tipping, what that means? Tipping, like
what temping means is there are companies, they're called temporary placement companies,
oh, I see.
temp for short. So there's companies that'll place you in different, and they'll call you like, hey, 20th Century Fox needs someone to answer the phones today, and they're blah blah blah. So you go to different places, and it's a temp because you're not fully working for
I
them.
see. I got it.
So, so a temp agency called me and said, "Hey, there's this nonprofit organization that the celebrity is starting, or that has, and they're looking for someone to work for you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And they didn't tell me who it was or anything. And so I go and I show up and I meet with someone, not Tyra, but the girl's name was Kelly. And she was like, so this is, I walked in and I saw Tyra pictures everywhere. They're like, oh, this is Tyra Banks. It's for Tyra Banks. I was like, oh, great. Tyra's great. And she has a nonprofit called T Zone. And what that was, I think she still has it. What that was or is it was a camp for inner city youth girls, 13 and up. And it was a self-esteem building camp for 3 days in Big Bear Mountains, and Tyra would go, and they thought she'd be in on a cart, but she wasn't. She was there with them all day. So I did her nonprofit camp with the girls for 2 years.
Wow.
And I remember one day her mom, because it was just a few of us in the office, and her mom worked in the office. And one day she came in and she's like, hey, want to take you to lunch? And I was like, okay. And she takes me to lunch, and I'm thinking I'm going to get fired. And she's like, hey, um, Tyra, likes the way you are and how you are with people and likes your work. She was wondering if you'd want to be her assistant. And at that time, I was probably in my mid 30s. And the first thing that out of my head was I was like, oh, honey, I'm too old to be picking up somebody's laundry. And she's like, no, 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 no. You don't have to do that. She's like, she just likes how you are with people and, dealing with her schedule and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, yeah. And so we kind of went back and forth and came to terms on money. And so I ended up doing that for a year. To get into the top model story is right when I started working for Ty, I think it was November, and then December, late November, and then December, she's like, Ty, I have this show that I'm selling. She's like, there's going to be UPN, which at the time was UPN, MTV, and then there was another CW, which was, I can't remember what CW was before. And I was like, oh, Tyra, what's the name of the show? She's like, it's called Supermodel. I was like, what is it? And she explained it to me. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Why hasn't it been done? And Supermodel, they couldn't use the name because it was already trademarked, copywritten, or whatever. And so they changed it to America's Next Top Model. And then January, we flew to New York to do the first season of America's Next Top Model in 2003. And that was amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Okay. Last question is, what do you think people need to know about each other before they start a relationship?
Ooh, I am the wrong person to be giving relationship advice. Ah, I don't know. It's hard. I would say honesty, but you don't know if someone's being honest, and you don't want to. But I know that I was seeing someone casually, and they were doing a lot of lying, and I was just like, "Why are you doing all this lying when I'm being honest and I'm not going to judge you?" So a lot of people, so that they have to work on themselves. But relationships are so many different levels. But I guess it's hard to say if you know if someone's lying, but before they should, I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one.
No, that's an
That's about
answer. It's already an answer. It's about honesty. It's so true. I think, as you said, before you start a relationship, I think honesty should be something like to, the very beginning for you to understand how can you, start a relationship already lying or not being yourself. You know what I mean?
I always say it's like, opening your guts up and letting
Yeah,
it out. You have to, I think you have to start honest, because if you don't start honest,
totally,
it's not going to get honest. You know what I mean? You've got to
totally.
start, you got to put all your cards on the table.
Yeah,
This is me. Can you deal with it? And then they can do, this is me. Can you deal with it?
yeah,
And then hopefully come to some
totally,
sort of,
absolutely. Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell me one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Let's do it. Let's start with money,
fame,
fear,
happiness,
family,
close,
life,
life. What was the first thing that came? Breathing was the first thing that came to my head.
okay, love.
Sadness.
One word for sex,
One word for sex. Do you want the clean one or the the good one?
you
I
can
thought
say
of
two
two.
words, one of the clean and the other one more, not that
The
clean.
nasty one was fuck. The good, the sweet one was intimacy. How's
I love it.
that?
One word for religion,
Faith.
politics,
Heavy.
friendship,
Honor was the first thing that popped in my head.
okay, desire,
What is it?
desire,
Desire. I think we all desire love.
regret,
Friends.
success.
Happiness.
One word for wish.
Wish. One word for wish.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that came to my head is a claim, but that's not it. It's affirmation, probably.
Okay. Happiness, one word.
Smile.
One word for Nebraska.
I thought of where I'm from first, which was Omaha, but probably small town.
One word for LA.
Love. I love LA.
USA, one word.
Broken.
And the last one now, reality TV producer, one word.
Job. I need a job.
Amazing. Let's pretend I'm going to meet your mom for a coffee and I'm going to ask her, define Thai in one positive word and one negative word only. What she would say?
The positive word would be loyal, probably. The negative would be she'd probably say the gym, because I go to the gym all the time. Probably what she would say.
Amazing. Let's play now, Thai, in the magic box, and you can ask me a question. Okay, Thai, you can ask me a question now.
Do you want a clean question or a good question, or not a clean question or a not clean question?
Oh my God, I don't know what to answer. Both. I would like to answer both.
Okay, here we go. The clean question is, because I've done this, I do my Ty's tips on TikTok. What was your first job?
Oh my God, great question. Great question. I love the question. My very first job, it was a briefly job. I was 16, 17 years old. And I come from a very small town. And I remember somebody post on some posters in some schools where I was studying for you to sell newspapers deals, like for you to have this monthly newspaper deal. So I was selling that, but I think I just worked there for I think 3 days only because I had a different concept about the job, you know, and so that was my very first job. Like literally, I knocking some business doors, and I was like, "Look, I've got this, you know, this newspaper here that you know."
Oh,
It's this, and that, and we've got this promotion where you can sign up and you can receive weekly or monthly. I don't remember, you know, a new subscription. So that was my very first job, but it was very briefly. My very
3 days.
yeah, that was the very first one that I had for sure. Now you can ask me, let's say, a naughty question, and I'm gonna see if I can keep it or not.
Okay, so the other question I have for you is, no, the question I have for you is, how old were you and what was the first nudie magazine you ever saw?
Oh my God! Wow, I can keep this question for sure. Right, I think I was younger than that when I started selling those newspapers. I think I might be maybe 9 years old or 10 years old, and it was a Playboy magazine that I found in my parents' wardrobe. I always been very curious, very, very. I have no idea how curious I always been. And I remember, like, you know, check things around, and I remember seeing this Playboy, and I was like, "That's interesting to see," you know. And I was literally like, look at it. And I love your question. And also, I remember at the same time as well, there was some other magazines where there were some sexual people, you know, like sexual magazine. And that's when I start having those, you know, feelings inside. I was like, oh my God, this is interesting, you know? So, and I was literally like closing down and put in the same place. And sometimes I was going there to see because I found very interesting. So I don't know, even I think my parents, they kind of find out one day because I think they moved the place. I went there and it wasn't there anymore.
No.
But it took long. I was going there time to time. I was going there just to check it out, just to you know to understand a little bit more about those
Right.
pictures.
Right. Oh, that's hilarious.
I love it. I love the question. You made me literally go back to my childhood memories. Oh my God, that's amazing. So yeah, Playboy and the other notes in magazine that my dad was keeping there for I don't know the reason why.
That was hilarious.
Did you enjoy the interview, Ty?
I did. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, William.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being so kind and sweet and bring this energy to the show. I love talking to you. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. It was a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to see it. You were a lot of fun, easy to talk to. It was a
Thank
blast.
Before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Message. You know what I've been doing? Kind of what you were saying earlier about what your grandmother told you, and that you do every night and every morning before you wake up. What I started doing this year, maybe a lot of us, if we started doing this, uh, because again, like I was saying, with cancer and money and none of this stuff you can't buy it. What I've been doing every morning when I wake up is I say thank you, because I
Wow.
wake up to another day, and I think it's really been this year because the whole work thing, and I've really been looking at myself and focusing on myself, and just trying to stay positive and strong and all that stuff, and looking at the little things, except for looking at all of the, we are always like, I don't have this or I can't buy that, but you can't buy life. So every morning, since this year, I wake up, and the first thing I think, kind of like what you were saying, first thing as I say is thank you. Thank you, God, for letting me wake up. And people have
Wow.
asked me, they're like, how's your day? I know you've been having some stuff with work and all that. I said, look, I woke up and I'm here at the gym. I'm doing great.
Amazing. Amazing. I love It's a great way to start your day for sure. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Ty. Thanks for the interview. It was a pleasure and keep in touch. Okay. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. Take care. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye. See you next time.